Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to the first of our art videos that we're going to be bringing to you over the next few weeks. This is something pretty new for us. We've not made videos before, so if they're a little rusty around the edges, you'll have to kind of forgive us. So yeah, over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing some really simple art activities for you guys to do at school or at home, wherever you may be. Keeps you busy, keeps you occupied during lockdown, and more importantly, hopefully you guys can have a bit of fun and get creative while you're at it. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Tom. I help run a company called We Are Culla, based in Hanley. We're a bit of an unusual company, bit of a creative agency. We do all sorts of things from printing t-shirts, to painting murals, to delivering workshops. Now, if you've not seen any of the work that we've done before, there should be a few bits popping up on screen now, some of which you may have seen around the city. Quite big paintings and things like that. So yeah, hopefully you like what we do, and you can bring a little bit of creativity into your own home doing these simple workshops that we've got. So to kick things off, first thing we thought we'd do with you, seeing as we're printers, we do a type of printing called screen printing. Now that's a little bit complicated for me to show you guys at home, so we're going to do something a bit easier. And that is a type of printing called letterpress. Now, letterpress is a very old-fashioned way of printing. It's probably been around for 400 or 500 years or so, and it's not very commonly used these days. Obviously, most people use digital printers and things, but letterpress, as I said, was an old-fashioned way of printing normally text or books or pages of letters, and it's obviously, you imagine, it's a lot quicker. Back in the olden days, it's a lot quicker to print out pages of a book rather than getting somebody to copy the books by hand and handwrite everything. So letterpress was a process that was invented back then. And the way it works is, I've got some letterpress here actually, you can probably see. I'll hold these up here. These are wooden blocks with letters kind of carved into them. You can kind of see that one there, that's a letter T. I'm not sure if you can see that very well on this camera. There we go, I'll try and get a bit closer for you. That's a letter A, and you can see these are just wooden blocks basically that have had a shape carved out of them in relief, so they're raised. And what we do is you'd coat ink on the raised surface and use it as a bit of a stamp. You would basically take your block with ink on, print it down on some paper, and by using these over and over again, it's a lot quicker than drawing out these letters by hand. I've got a few examples now that will show you of letterpress that's been done. Quite simple stuff really, and then we've got ones here that we've done in a very stylized way. You can probably see these are just letters that we've produced using some of the blocks that we've got. Now the blocks that we're using, they're, as I said before, wooden blocks all carved with letters. We're not expecting you to have 100-year-old wooden blocks lying around at home that you can start carving into. So we're going to do it in a much simpler way. We're going to be using stuff that you should have lying around the home, things that you can get your hands on quite easily, and using techniques that are pretty easy for you guys to do at home and pretty effective as well. You may have done this before, but hopefully we're going to show you a few new things and look at it in a different light, something a little bit easier for you to do. So first things first, what are we going to need today to do this letterpress printing? Now, the first thing might surprise you, we're going to be using potatoes. Now these are just old potatoes that we've had in the cupboard. You know, they're going a bit, you can see the roots coming through on them now, they're probably past the best, but they're still good for using for what we need them for. Now, the best thing for the potatoes is get the biggest potatoes that you can find. These aren't particularly big, they're quite medium-sized potatoes. They'll still work, but the bigger the potato, the better. So potatoes is the first thing that we're going to be needing, and it will make sense in a second when I get to it. Secondly, we're going to need some paint. This is just acrylic or poster paint. A paintbrush, a pen, some scrap paper for printing onto. Another little thing that we're going to need is some paper clips. Now this is quite a small paper clip there that you can see. And finally, a kitchen knife. This is quite a sharp kitchen knife. Now, You're going to need supervision when you're using this. Obviously, you've got to be careful. Don't want anyone cutting their fingers off. So, first thing we're going to do, and this is, for those of you who are a bit younger who are watching, you might need a parent to help you with this bit. I'm going to cut it into kind of 3 slices lengthways, really. And each slice needs to be about 1.5 centimetres thick. I've only got kind of 2 or 3 slices out of this potato. But you know, the bigger potatoes, you can cut them into more slices. So get an adult to help you slice the potato up if needs be. And you're left with these, you know, evenly thick slices that we're going to use. So there we've got a chunk of potato. And that, you can imagine that is similar to our block of wood. So there's a block of wood, there's the potato. So we're going to use the potato to carve our shape, or our letterpress block, if you like, into it. Get yourself a felt pen, good chunky felt pen like that, and you want to draw your design directly onto the potato. Now, you can try this with a biro or a pencil, but it's normally a lot easier with a marker pen, a big felt nibbed marker pen. And you can see there, I've just drawn a really simple heart. There you go, just see it in the camera. Really simple heart that I've drawn onto the potato. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, and I'm going to show you this, first of all, I'm going to show you this using a knife. Now, I prefer the knife, it's a little bit more accurate and you can get a much cleaner cut with this. For those of you who are a bit younger, I'm going to show you another technique where you don't need to use a knife and you're not going to cut your fingers off. So, using the knife, very carefully what you need to do is trace round the design that you've drawn. Now, you don't want to press on very hard, you don't need to use much force. The potatoes are really soft and it should cut very easily. So if you can see on the video there that I'm just tracing round the outline that I've drawn in pen. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and slice out the bits of the potato that we don't want. So you can do it in lots and lots of little chunks. You don't need to do it all in one go. You can see I've just cut a slice off there and a slice in from the side there. Now you have to be very careful that you're not going to slip and cut yourself here. Okay, so what we're going to do once we've cut out our shape is get some poster paint out. I'm just going to squeeze this paint out onto a bit of scrap paper, or I've got a little paint lid here that I'm squeezing it out onto. Nice bit of red because we're doing a love heart. And then we're going to get our paintbrush straight onto the heart. Nice thick amount. And what we want to do is we want to just paint the raised area. You can see that there. We want to paint just the raised area that we're going to be using to print with. And then when we've got a nice amount of paint on there, what we then need to do is pick a spot on your page where you want it to go, place the potato down and give it a nice good press. There we go, that's worked. You can see that. Go, coming together nicely. Don't worry if you get kind of bits that are a bit faint. Obviously these bits where the ink's ran out, it actually adds to the charm. It's quite nice. So I'm going to do a few more versions of this and add to it, and then we're going to do some letters as well. So we'll come back to that in a second. Okay guys, so you've just seen me cut the shape out using the knife and do a few prints with it, which has come out quite well. If you remember back to when we talked about the materials that we're going to use, the final thing we're going to use is a paper clip. Now this is a way of making your stamp or your letterpress shape without the use of a sharp knife. So especially if your parents aren't able to help you, or you're a bit young and you're not allowed to be let loose with a sharp knife, which is probably advisable, we can use a paper clip to do the same thing. So exactly the same technique as before. I'm going to get our potato and draw a really simple shape on it this time. Now, when using the paper clip, your shapes need to be even more simple, I'd say, because you've not got as much precision. It's a little bit harder to do this. And what we do is, once you've drawn your shape on, I've drawn a little triangle there, you're going to use the paper clip as a bit of a scraper almost. So you see that I drag the paper clip along the surface of the potato, staying outside of the lines. And what it does is it just kind of slices off bits of potato, almost like a miniature potato peeler. And we can kind of dig down into the surface of the potato and take away those bits that we don't want. And you can kind of drag it around the edge and take bits off like that. The bigger the paper clip, I should say, the easier this is. This is quite a small paper clip. If you get a real big chunky one, you'll probably find it's easier to carve. The potato, again, it's quite soft, remember, so you shouldn't have to press on too hard, and just do a little bit at a time, just taking that potato flesh away and digging it down, and exactly the same as before. You know, you want to leave a nice flat area in the center where your design is, nice and flat on top, and take away all the bits that we don't need, all the unwanted parts of the potato. And again, just take your time. It might be a bit slower than using a knife, but it's a bit safer to do. There we go. So you can see, again, I've got sort of a triangle shape there. There we go. And then back in with the paint. So again, I'm going to just do a really, really quick couple of test prints with this, just to get a bit of a background in. And then we'll try something. We'll try some letters in a minute, which hopefully be a little bit more fun. Probably speed this bit up because it might take me a little bit of time. I'm going to carry on doing this, work into my design a little bit, and do something a little bit more interesting. So bear with me, and hopefully we'll have something good by the end of it. Now again, I'm going to use the knife just because it's a bit quicker. Right, so what I've done here, I've cut out a letter T, I've cut out a letter O, which is, if you see, that's quite clever because that's just using the circle shape of the potato to get the outside of the O, and I've just cut out the middle bit. And I've done a letter M. Now I've done those with a knife because they're a little bit more precise. Next, I'm going to use some black ink on these, so I could clean my brush out. I'm just going to give it a quick wipe. Potatoes. That's quite cool. I might do another little shape now. You can see, there we go. I've got my name on there. I'm going to do another quick shape. I'm going to do a star, I think. So again, I'll probably speed this bit up so it's a bit quicker for you. And there we go, it's starting to come together. I mean, it's a bit rough. It's the first one, or second one really, that I've done. And you can see that I've layered my letters up that I've cut. I cut these really, really quickly in the sped up bit, and I've just used them. I reckon if you want to try and do your name, something like that, it's almost like the historic use for letterpresses, doing letters. And don't worry if, you know, it gets a little bit messy or there's bits of paint in the wrong place. You can let this dry and you can work into it, and you can keep adding layers and layers and changing the colour. You know, I went for a bit of yellow on a star shape that I've cut there. You can kind of see that. Oh, I'm dripping paint everywhere. So yeah, you know, different shapes, different colours. Let it dry, layer it up. You can also work into it with the pen if you want to. You know, keep going back into it, drawing over it, and yeah, just have a bit of fun with it. Get creative. To accompany this, we'll provide you guys with a few sort of simple shapes and letter outlines that you can maybe copy. A little bit easier than trying to come up with things on your own. But again, you can use Google to find outlines and shapes and silhouettes of simple characters and things that you want to do yourself. So please feel free to get experimenting. I'd love to kind of hear what you guys have been up to. If you've enjoyed this, please write it in the comments below. We'd also love to share any of your work or any of your letterpress or potato printing that you've done on Facebook or Instagram. So please send it over to us. We'd love to see it. It's been pretty fun, something different for me to try as well. And look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until then, goodbye. See you later.